Alright, video response to some guy. At least somebody's making a response video. Completely incoherent nonsense argument, just personal bullshit. Doesn't have anything to do with any facts, figures, arguments. No, we're not going to quote Immendham. We're not going to do any of that. No, we're just going to play the typical bullshit game. So anyway, some guy, Luddite, romantic, whatever.
And there are those who threaten this comfortability in not seeing the world in the way that they see it.
So anyway, the first half of this video makes this whole convoluted argument that all this conversation, philosophy, it all has something to do with somebody's comfort level, and it doesn't have to do with their intelligence or how they analyze a situation or what they've discerned through life experience. No, it's just some sort of, I got an itch and I'm going to use, your brain to scratch it or some kind of bullshit. I don't know. It's just bullshit.
Okay. So, for instance, when we have someone like Immendham or Gary, who just called conference report more evil than God in his unwillingness to push the red button, so to speak.
Oh, well, what I pointed out was the hypocrisy of it. If you know something's broken and you allow it to continue to be broken, that's pretty fucking weird and stupid. So he concedes that life is running a deficit. He doesn't exactly explain what it's going to accomplish to undo that problem, and yet he sits there and says he would endorse the experiment. He would let the experiment continue. So, I can come up with all kinds of thought experiments, some sort of crazy island, where there's all kinds of horrors and miseries imposed. And if you know it exists, and you just allow it to continue to exist, then you have to take a moral accountability for that. And I was just making the ironic argument that even God, who made a mess, at least he tried to fix the mess. He didn't just sit there and say, fine, it's a mess, I don't give a damn.
Okay. Gary is threatened by those who don't see the world in the way that he sees it, who wouldn't push...
Yeah, whatever. I'm not threatened by, I'm disturbed by, okay? If you're living in a society full of child molesters or some other kind of evildoer, you're not just going to sit down and have your dinner, and it's not going to sit there and eat at your guts and make you want to puke, alright? You humans, you disgusting, putrid creatures who are sitting there wagging your little life Borg flags, make me want to puke, okay? You have no appreciation for anything at all except your own selfish ambition. You are the psycho. You're the one who needs the psychoanalyst, okay, to figure out why you do what you do. Why do you live the way you live? Alright? I'm not the one who's sitting there desperate to accomplish something in a game where you can't accomplish.
The red button, you see, in their affirmation of life, in their willingness to not play the role of authoritarian tyrant. Because
oh, please, we play the role of authoritarian tyrant all the time. We make choices and decisions about how things will be done, and so that's just bogus. I have advocated for democracy. I've advocated for rights, okay? So give people the right to die. Let your children tell you at 10 years old that you're a fucking idiot, a moron, and that you should have never injected them into a shithole because they have a little more class and sophistication than you, and they can figure out that it's a shithole, and they should have the right to die and give you the fucking finger on the way out for putting them in a rickety, shitty roller coaster and saying, well, you're supposed to have fun, you dumb moron. And they'll say, fuck you, you fucking retard.
Be more authoritarian, as I've already pointed out, than deciding for others in their affirmation of life.
You're the one making the decision for others. You're the one imposing life on others. You're making a decision, an aggressive decision. Alright? So you can't play that game that somehow it's not okay to say no to life, but it's okay to say yes to life, because they both have an implication. Your implication goes on forever into the future. The implication of the suspension of life does not. So that's where you fail, asshole.
Fundamental decision that can be made, you see. It just never ceases to amaze me that Gary goes on and on about inject the heroin in your own veins and no one else. And
yeah, and you apparently don't even understand that metaphor. I mean, that metaphor is clearly stating that there's a psychology here, okay? And only these Borgites, the morons like you, the fucktards, the idiots, the retards who use concepts like affirm life. Well, what does affirm life mean? You're affirming consumption and reproduction designed by brainless forces. That's what you're affirming, asshole. Okay, billions of years of carnage, cannibalism, effectively. That's what you're embracing, asshole. The human race hasn't gone, more than 50 years consecutively without a fucking world war or something close to it. So what's your when you say affirm, what the fuck are you affirming, asshole? The word life, the 4 letters? You think the 4 letters are really cool? Or are you actually affirming the concept, which is just consumption and reproduction? It's a reproducing piece of chemistry. It's a DNA molecule, moron. Is that what you're affirming? Control of the this dynamic by the incidental, consequential evolution of a DNA molecule? That's a pretty lame thing to affirm.
then he talks about how you're more evil than God, than the God of the Old Testament, if you don't inject the vein in everyone else's, if you don't inject the heroin universally speaking in everyone else's vein. Is it just me, or is there a hypocrisy here?
Again, where's the quotes of any of that crap? Okay, the point is only retards like you can find a value equation that makes sense here. Only dirty, sloppy pigs like you will wallow in this slop and say this is an accomplishment. And so when you take somebody who has some sophistication, some intelligence, and you force them into your slop, you're the one with the imposition. You're saying be a heroin addict or else. You're the one giving people no choice, asshole.
Back to the threatening reality of those who don't see the world in the way that Gary does. There could not be a more perfect example than the savage in Huxley's Brave New World. A reading. But I like the inconveniencies. We don't set the controller. We prefer to do things comfortably. But I don't want comfort. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. I want sin.
Right. Now, if you wanted all that stuff for yourself, then there's no argument. But you're not doing it to yourself. You're doing it to something you won't have any control over, some innocent victim that you're putting on the ride. And then you're saying you must like the ride. It's not my fault I put you on it. I take no responsibility for the ride or for you being on it, even though I created you. I endorsed your creation. I mean, you're the one full of fucking duplicity and hypocrisy, and you're running from your responsibilities. I'm saying if you're going to impose the ride on something, then make sure you can condition the little beasties to be as dumb and stupid and retarded as you.
In fact, said Mustafa Mon, you're claiming the right to be unhappy. All right then, said the savage defiantly, I'm claiming the right to be unhappy. Not to mention the right to grow old and ugly and impotent, the right to have syphilis and cancer, the right to have too little to eat, the right to be lousy, the right to live in constant apprehension of what may happen tomorrow, the right to catch typhoid, the right to be tortured by unspeakable pains of every kind. There was a long silence.
Yeah, a stunned silence, I would imagine. An absolutely stunned silence. So how bad does it have to get? How many pedophiles have to be on every street corner? How disgusting and debaucherous does life have to fucking be before you'll lift up your little feeble hand and say, wait a minute, this is fucking dumb. Why are we doing this again? So we can leave some old hardware on the moon? So we can, put cities below sea level? What the fuck are we accomplishing now? What again are we accomplishing for all this fucking horror? Asshole.
I claim them all, said the savage at last. You see, to continue to affirm existence doesn't mean that it doesn't warrant, or it doesn't mandate, if you will, a kind of naive optimism about the world.
Oh, it mandates a preposterously fucked-hearted, naive, insipid, sadistic mentality. I mean, only a sadistic, masochistic moron could sit there and say, yes, I embrace that for my children. I embrace that risk, that horror, that potential. And I think it's just going to be fucking swell to watch it all play out. And I hope, I hope I'll be fair and say, all right, bring on the snake eyes, okay? Don't even let me be the lucky one. Bring on the snake eyes, okay? And give me the 6-year-old with cancer. Or let me watch my sister die. Or let me watch, my niece grow up without a mother. Let me do that, okay? Because, yeah, I want it. I want to taste the pain. You're fucking